Here's the truth about unconditional positive regard. It does not mean accepting everything your client says or does. And it's the one condition almost every counsellor thinks they've already got. Get it wrong and you'll burn out trying to be a saint. Get it right and it becomes the most powerful thing you offer. So in the next few minutes, I'll show you 3 things. What unconditional positive regard really means, why it's the hardest of Rogers conditions to hold, and 3 things you can start doing today to actually build it. And everything we cover today, I've pulled into a free handout for you. 3 tips on unconditional positive regard. It's a quick practical one-pager you can keep by you as you practice. Just scan the QR code on screen or grab the link in the description. Right, let's start with what this actually is. Unconditional positive regard was one of Carl Rogers' necessary and sufficient conditions for therapeutic change. And the definition is deceptively simple. It's a prizing of the person in front of you, holding no judgment towards them, accepting them fully just as they are. Rogers described it beautifully as a caring which is not possessive, which demands no personal gratification. It involves an acceptance of and a caring for the client as a separate person. For that regard to be truly unconditional, we have to accept all of the client's feelings and experiences and resist quietly ranking them as good or bad, valid or invalid. So why does this matter so much? Because Rogers believes self-acceptance is the ingredient that lets a person change. He put it as a paradox. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself as I am, then I change. When a client sits in a space with no threat of judgment, something happens. They start to say the things they've kept hidden, the parts wrapped in shame. And slowly they take in that accepting attitude and begin to offer it to themselves. That's where growth lives. Here's the part people don't expect. If we want to be non-judgmental towards a client, we have to start with ourselves, because judgment starts within and gets projected outward. Think about what a label does. The moment someone becomes a banker, an addict, one of them, our frustration lands on the label, not the human underneath it. Unconditional positive regard begins by turning that lens around and asking, who am I? What's my own self-concept made of? And let me be honest with you, because I think this matters. I've been a therapist, a trainer and a supervisor for many years, and I still hold judgments. I do. Cut me off at a junction or take my parking space. You'll see the judgmental side of me arrive very quickly. This isn't about becoming superhuman, some saintly figure who's transcended all judgment. It's about knowing your judgments well enough to set them aside outside the professional relationship you hold with your client. Because when you look at the client in front of you, whatever their job, whatever they've done, whatever language they speak, they are a fellow human being. And each of us is a product of the road we've walked. That road shapes how we act, the views we hold, sometimes strong views, but it's the road, not a badness inside the person. Think of someone who's done something genuinely terrible. It's tempting to picture a monster, a devil with a tail, but behaviour is one part of a person, never the whole of them. Good and evil are the absolutes we reach for when we can't yet explain a behaviour. Rogers reminds us that behaviour makes sense from the client's own frame of reference. There's always a road that led there. Now, an important clarification, because this trips people up. Unconditional positive regard does not mean we accept every value or view a client holds. It doesn't mean we agree. What we accept is their right to hold it, and the fact that they think and feel this way because of the road they've walked, not because of a fault inside them. We accept the experience and the person, not necessarily the behaviour or its consequences. That distinction is everything. This is exactly what the free handout unpacks. Tip 1 is simply this. Don't only accept the parts you like. Try to accept all of the clients, even where their world looks nothing like yours. You'll find all 3 tips in 3 tips on unconditional positive regard. Scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description. So if judgment is this natural, why is it so woven into us? For that, we need one more piece of theory. We live in a conditional world. Your status can be judged by your birthright, your postcode, the car you drive, the label on your clothes, how much you earn. You may be treated as worth more if you tick certain boxes. Rogers called these conditions of worth. Think of a child at school. Do well in the test. Well done. Who's clever? Do less well. You need to pull your socks up. Praise made conditional. We grow up absorbing those conditions, and when our self-concept, the person we've been told we ought to be, starts to clash with our actual experience, that's where psychological disturbance takes root. Here's the hard truth. There's no book you can read and simply arrive. This is inner work. It's about noticing your own conditions of worth and gently stripping them away, seeing who you really are and where your prejudices come from. One exercise I love is a short self-inventory. Questions like, one thing I like about myself is what I dislike in others is I really give myself a hard time when. Sit with those honestly, and you'll learn a great deal about the judgments you carry. And notice the pattern. Self-forgiveness comes first. If you can look back at your own mistakes and say, I'm only human, I did that because of where I was, it becomes so much easier to extend that to someone else. We may be the only animal that punishes itself for the same act again and again for years. Learning to stop is part of forming a non-judgmental attitude. The philosopher Martin Buber called this the I and thou relationship, not I and it, not me and a label, me and you. One human genuinely meeting another. So how do we actually do this in the room? 4 things. 1, self-acceptance. If you can't accept a feeling in yourself, you'll struggle to accept it in your client. 2, step into the client's frame of reference. View their behaviour from where they stand, not from your chair. 3, know your prejudices and take them openly to supervision, because the biases we can't see are the ones that leak out. And 4, stay open, arrive at every session without assumptions, and catch yourself when you start predicting. I want to be balanced because unconditional positive regard isn't without its critics. Some argue it can sit in tension with congruency. So if I'm laying every judgment aside, am I being fully authentic? Others working in more challenge-based or solution-focused ways question its place at all. And there is evidence here. Studies show a small to moderate link between a therapist's positive regard and how well therapy goes. But measuring regard that's truly unconditional remains genuinely difficult. Even Rogers acknowledged how challenging these conditions can be in practice, and many therapists report struggling with certain clients. And so if you struggle, you're in good company. Take it to supervision. So unconditional positive regard. It's prizing the person. It's accepting their right to their own experience without needing to agree. And it starts always with the regard we're willing to offer ourselves. It may be the hardest condition to hold. It's also, I think, the most human. If you take one thing away today, let it be this handout. 3 tips on unconditional positive regard, free, practical, and yours. Scan the QR code on screen or tap the link in the description. And if you really enjoyed this video, take a look at our playlist, Person-Centered Therapy. Everything you need to know. There's much more there to explore. I'll see you in the next one.